think we're ready. Hey everyone, welcome to the Derek Bach Center's Learning Lab. My name is Madeleine Woods and I am the AI project lead here. So today I will be walking you through an introduction of the ChatGPT Edu interface, as well as how to upload an article and query ChatGPT about said article. I'll also try to recapitulate some of what your professor said in his first lecture. However, I do recommend that when it comes to course-specific information, you go back to Panopto and review that lecture, just so you have the most up-to-date information. Now, the first thing you'll want to do to get into ChatGPT Edu is actually go to your email. So you will have received a link directly from OpenAI inviting you to the Harvard workspace. And I'll walk you through how to go to that email, hit a few buttons, and end up logging in. And then we'll get through a tour of what the interface looks like and how to use it. So the first step to this process is checking your email. You will get an email directly from OpenAI. The subject is ChatGPT Enterprise, you've been invited. If you crack that open, you'll see this button, Join Workspace. You'll also see that it says Harvard University ChatGPT, so you're in the right space if you open this email and see that. Hit Join Workspace, and briefly you'll get a pop-up that says, once again, you've been invited to the Harvard University ChatGPT workspace. The important thing to remember as you're signing up is you need to use your official Harvard email. So if you're an undergraduate, this is your college.harvard email, and if you're faculty or staff, this is your FAS.harvard email. The other thing to keep in mind is you don't have single sign-on, you don't have Harvard key, so you will need to use a unique password, and remember it, if you are signing up. I have already signed up with this account. This is our demo account. So here, once you've signed up or logged in, I'm going to pop over here. Again, use my official Harvard email. Very furtively put in my password quickly and log in. So in a moment, we'll see the interface. And many of you may have used ChatGPT before, and this will look very familiar. Just because it's in the Harvard workspace doesn't mean that it's different. But still, for those of you who are unfamiliar, I will walk through the basics of this interface and how to use it. So, as you're opening it up, you'll see that you have two main areas. First, on the right, you have the main window, and then over here, on the left, you have the left-hand sidebar. When you first come in and you've signed up with your Harvard account, the best thing to do is ensure that you are, in fact, in the Harvard workspace. If you have any issues, reach out to Hewitt, but if you're in the Harvard workspace, you should see this Harvard shield. If you click on this, you'll access settings, and we'll go through a few different features there in a moment. You, of course, have your main chat window where you'll be interacting with ChatGPT, but you also have a drop-down menu in this main window all the way to the left. At the time of taping, the default for all ChatGPT Edu accounts is 4.0. And this is what you'll be using the most for class. This is where you can do web search. This is where you can upload files. However, you do have access to more powerful models, 0.1, which uses advanced reasoning, something called chain of thought prompting. However, you cannot upload articles there. So make sure you're using 4.0. When it comes to the left-hand sidebar, you'll see GPTs you've interacted with. You'll also be able to explore GPTs if you're new to your account. And you'll have a history of all of your chats. You'll be able to launch new chats. You'll be able to search your history. And you can also hide this sidebar if you want, but I tend to keep mine open. So let's just walk through a very basic message. So I'm going to ask, what are some scientific articles related to sleep? And send it off to generate. You'll see it's searching the web and it's beginning to produce output. If at any point you don't like what you see and you want to change the command, you can go to where you normally have an arrow or hit enter. You'll see a stop square. Just hit that, and as you can see, the generation has been ceased in its tracks. Now I'm going to come down here and you'll see this is where you can attach files. I'll go back into that in a moment when we walk through the article activity. You can also hit this light bulb for it to use more intelligence. This forces it to think for a bit longer, which is good for more complex tasks. You can search the web, which it does automatically depending on your query if it thinks it needs to search the internet, but you can also turn this on before you ever put in a message to ensure that it is utilizing that function. And then there's various other tools in this toolbox here. So always with ChatGPT, you tend to not ask one question. It's a very iterative, even dialogic process. So you might look at this, and since I've kind of stopped the generation, I'll say, this is too long. Please be more concise. Pick only 3 articles. So I can have this thread. If I wanted to return to this thread or go back, you'll find it in your history. So you'll see over here, a history has begun with my new chat. Often it is named by ChatGPT, but if you want to return to the chat, see, scientific articles on sleep is what OpenAI has chosen, but I can hit options and I can rename it if I quickly want to find it or have some naming convention I'm using. I can archive the chat or I can delete it. If you find, though, that you're putting in the same sorts of commands over and over again, like please be more concise, or only use Python when I ask you coding questions, you can alter all of your ChatGPT queries by coming up to the Harvard Shield. Hit this, you can get to customize ChatGPT. Here you can provide context on who you are and the kind of output that you want. And again, none of this is used for training. I know some of these can seem like personal questions, but no one at Harvard can see this. This isn't used for training or data. This is solely used to improve the context and output of ChatGPT. You can save or you can hit cancel. You also want to keep in mind that ChatGPT is saving memories of what you're doing. So this is our demo account. You can see there's lots of different chats. And as people are speaking with it, and you're speaking with your ChatGPT in your personal account, occasionally ChatGPT will save memories. And these tend to be around functions that are identified to be long-term. So if you say, I'm in this specific course, or I'm working on this sort of project, a memory may be saved to improve the output across different threads. However, if you don't like that, I'll show you where to access it or manage your memories. Again, come to the Harvard Shield, hit Settings, go to Personalization, and this is where memories are stored. You can turn it off, you can hit Manage and do it memory by memory. You can clear or edit them. And if you just want to clear your memories wholesale periodically, you can also hit this button as well. So this has been a very quick guide to the interface, just basic functionalities of how to interact with ChatGPT. And now, in a moment, we'll go through a quick activity related to the articles you'll be working with each week. Let's get into the main event, uploading an article and asking various questions, asking for summaries, and what we'll be doing for this activity in the video is very similar to what your professor did in Lecture 1. So, of course, go back to Panopto, look at Lecture 1. That video will have much more detail on specifically why you're doing this sort of activity with AI and how it fits into the larger course. But now, let's return to the interface. I'll show you the logistics of how to do it and also get into just some philosophy around prompting and the different ways in which you can interact with ChatGPT in this specific use case. So to begin, we're back at the interface. You will go in your sections every week, and there you can speak to your TFs about how to get the PDFs of the articles you will do these activities with. I have one of these articles that, again, you used in Lecture 1, and there are 2 ways to upload it to ChatGPT in a given thread. Coming here, you can go to the paperclip icon, click that. You can add from Google Drive, or you can upload from your computer. I personally prefer to drop in my articles. So here, I'll drop in my article. And then I'm going to ask for a summary. For a general audience, I've asked the description to be as simple and easy to understand with special attention to claims and evidence. So I can hit enter or hit this arrow to send this off. Off we go. You can see it's reading the documents. And then it begins. Here's our summary. And this is emulating a process you see in the scientific community already. As covered in Lecture 1, this article was initially published in 2007, and it was only in 2021, 14 years later, that a public-facing version of this article was released. But we're essentially doing that process, truncating all of that time within this single ChatGPT thread. So I'm asking for this very dense article to be summarized, transformed in a completely new way. But you can continue to iterate within this thread. Don't ever ask one question of ChatGPT. You can continue to do this textual restylization. You can ask for it to be transformed, shorter, longer, focusing on specific parts. And all of that has to do with text. But now I'm also going to show you ways you can interact with these articles in terms of images, which is especially important in these articles where there are very complex figures and even equations. I'm going to return to my desktop, and now I'm going to drop in a figure and say, please explain this to me. ChatGPT would do a pretty good job in a new thread with just this image, but because this thread has the context of the article, the explanation will be even better. Now, as this generates, I'm going to throw it another challenge. I will drop in an equation from this paper. Please explain this to me. And now we have a pretty great thread. I have a summary, I have explanations of a few of the more complicated elements of this article, and this is a really great start for pre-reading articles that we may not yet understand. And all of this has to do with the content. Now, if I wanted to do something outside of the content, I could focus on the more, agnostic structure of articles. So I might say, please give me a description of the logical flow of this article. Without focusing on content, describe the architecture of the rhetoric. Oop, and I have a typo. And please delineate the sections extant in this paper. For a bonus, tell me how well this aligns with scientific papers in this area more broadly. This gets to the pattern recognition skill of AI. I can upload multiple different articles, and because it's so good at scale and pattern recognition, these are the sorts of questions I can ask. And this is really important for mapping out the structure of these very complex articles. What you're learning in this class isn't just the content of what you're learning through these papers, it's also the skill of parsing the information in them. Hopefully, you'll be able to open any of these articles by the end of the semester, and you'll have a really good roadmap in your mind of how to read them, interact with them, and of course, incorporate them into your broader mental model of the different elements that you've covered in class as you go over sleep and all of these different vectors. Now, you've seen me ask multiple different questions, and I've been prompting for a really long time, so I have some intuitions of what to put in. And this concept of prompting, what even is that? It's dialogic. It's asking all of these different questions, and you don't need to overthink it. All of this to say, from week to week, you might be assigned specific questions to ask or lenses to apply as you go through these articles and ask questions. But all of this is exploratory for you. How do you absorb information? What style assists you the most with comprehension? In this sense, AI becomes a translation tool between you and the original article itself. Only in this case, you get to define the language in which you best think and learn. You define this through your prompting. That's what prompting is. So don't be afraid of putting in the wrong question. You really should be throwing everything at the wall here and then, sharing it with your TF, asking questions, speaking to your peers. After all, this isn't just about the articles, but learning when, why, and how to use AI. You're developing skills here that go beyond the science, beyond mastering the content, and into how to use this new, novel tool within an academic framework in the right way. So again, thank you so much. My name is Madeleine. You may see me again. I'm in the Learning Lab in the Derek Bok Center, and I'm really excited for you guys to use ChatGPT Edu in your course. I think it'll be great, and I'm excited to see what you guys learn and how well you do. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.